All right, should be live. Just double check and wait for it to pop up on my end. Kayla, will you check too? All right. All right, so it does show that we are live. So, everybody, I appreciate everybody for hopping on this. You guys are absolutely amazing. We are joined with my guest, and also, colleague, I guess you could say. I want to say friend, but I know we haven't really known each other like that. So, if you guys are here, you guys probably know Colicchie. Super talented artist. But the reason why I wanted to work with him, or what drawn me to him, was his selflessness. If you guys do not know him, he is not only an artist, but an artist that uses his platform for good. Doing this and traveling around, I've met a lot of artists, who are in recovery, and really want to go out there and make an impact, right? But their content and their actions don't always back it up. And so I am privileged to have you today. And I want to say thank you for jumping on with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I'm super grateful. It's really cool. So if anybody usually watches this, usually I go live every Friday at 5 to kind of give updates on what's going on with music. Now that tour's been over, I've been dropping something every 2 weeks. Kind of just keeping people busy. I've had more time to be in the studio, things like that. But yesterday we could not get live. Facebook was working its voodoo and its magic. And I say that because we're in New Orleans, so it's fitting. It was working its voodoo. But yeah, so anybody who tuned in yesterday, I completely apologize. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for the ongoing support. But we did just drop our brand new single. It is called Drowned In. The original version came out. And then Colicchie hit me with the verse for the remix, which I think really, adds another perspective, but also it completes it as somebody as I look up to in the community that has been grinding and I feel like actually puts in the work to deserve where they're at. I want to say thank you. Did you want to tell them a little bit about the song or maybe your perspective on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I just basically my own experience with intravenous drug use and and making my way out to the other side. In the same sense of showing the dark side, but also giving hope in the same breath. And
Yeah.
the whole concept that you even have of it, as far as just the fentanyl and everybody that's dying. I mean, it's tremendously tragic, and anything we can do to spread awareness. Correct.
Absolutely. When I was out there, man, my addiction, I was homeless at like 18. And I was sleeping on the streets, sleeping on the sidewalks, with a needle in my arm, shooting dope. I was 18, 19 years old, most of my 20s. If I wasn't in prison or in jail, which I've probably been locked up about 5 years, right? If I wasn't doing that, I was literally eating in food lines, getting the free clothes, doing this, hustling. My hustling was selling dope, just so I could support my addiction. And it felt like the reason why I wanted to make Drowned In is because it felt like an act of addiction I was drowned in, right? But the concept of it is so crazy because when you're drowned in, you're waiting for someone to save you, right? You got the hand out, you're breathing in air. But the crazy thing about addiction is the only person that can save you is you, right? And that's why I tell everybody, you can't save somebody. I mean, you could lead by example. People are going to do what they want. And, I wanted to put the perspective in it because, for one, being an addict, it's walking through your shoes. You get it. It seems so dramatic, like drowned in, but it's like we're slowly dying, but also I wanted to give the perspective of what it's like for someone who doesn't know addiction, right? So like those parents, the moms, the dads, the brothers, the uncles that are like, why don't you quit, Skyler? Why don't you stop? I just don't get it. Like, you're loved. You got this. Like, just stop using. And it's like, yeah, that really is the answer. Obviously, like, it's as simple as it is. If I stop using, like, but it's not that easy, right? If I could, I would. And that's why I felt like, you're suffocating, you're drowning, your whole world's closing in on you. And so when I made the song, I absolutely fell in love with it. You're the first person I had in mind for the track, just because I thought it was powerful, right? And you know, I'm really glad that we got a chance to do it. It's really cool because, like I said, like, I know you're popping. I know you're doing things. I know you got a crazy fan base. What you're doing is exceptional, right? But to take like, not to take away from it, but the reason why I wanted you on the track is because the respect that you have. And what I mean by that is, when I first heard about you, you know, I've only recently known about you for a couple years. And it's really cool because everybody holds you to this higher standard of like a role model of what you do in the community, how you give back, you know, by donating your time, by going for the cause. But not only that, but you actually like show up, like, right? Because like I said, a lot of people talk the talk, but to be able to walk it is incredible. And I've experienced that I have 5 years coming up in December. I know how physically exhausting it is to show up every single day, to show up through the commitments, do it when you don't want to do it. And that's why I wanted you on the track.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And man, you just said so much stuff that I want to respond to. I think the first thing, when you were talking about like making a song that touches family members of addicts, that, you know, it's crazy that you bring it up because we make music like that. I can't tell you how many family members of a using addict have wrote me.
Yeah.
And were like, I had no idea what my mother or my daughter or my brother was going through, like, until I experienced one of your tracks. And like, so thank you for that. And it's crazy because I never really had any of that in mind. You know, I've been writing about like songs about addiction since like 2007, and not to like sound selfish, but that was never really my goal. Like in the past, I was honestly just always just telling my story, because the more I told my story, the more freer I felt. And you know, fast forward to now, you know, everything you just said, and it's like with music in general, like, I don't know who I am in my music and who I am on social media and all that is who I really am in real life. Like, I really do live this recovery. I really do attempt to be a good person every single day of my life. And, you know, like all of us, you know, none of us is perfect. We fall short, make mistakes and all that. But it's my recovery and the way I handle myself above anything, you know, and even just in general, recovery, you know, starts at home. It's not about what I post. It's not about videos I make. It's about how good of a father I am. It's about, you know, how good of a friend I am. You know, like last night in my fiance's home group, we were discussing the third step. And, you know, and I was just bringing about how, like, when I was real young, you know, I heard someone say, like, if I can help you, I will. If I can harm you, I won't. And how I've always just like tried to like live by that motto. And, as far as just like being a good person and just like not being a shady individual. And I guess in so many words, like what you see, you know, on the internet is about as who I am as a person, like is who I am in real life.
Yeah.
And I do. And I really, really like take that serious. You know what I mean? And when I like, you know, make mistakes or whatever, I'm never afraid to divulge, you know, my shortcomings or anything like that, because the only way that I can even grow or even, you know, spiritually grow is by, you know, addressing my faults, you know. And it's a constant learning process and a battle, but you know, some days I'm not okay with myself, and some days I have the confidence. But regardless of how I feel, I do, like you said, the commitments that I have in front of me.
It's important, man. I relate so much to that. And it's crazy because I feel like that's the thing is, look, you know how many times I take this very seriously. I take to be as authentic as possible, to be genuine as possible, to be who I say I am and do what I say I do. And what I mean by that is, you know, not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. That is so huge for me. Like, who you meet, if you see me online, I'm nice. Like, you can meet me in person, things like that. But I really try to live the life that I talk about. And I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would get into trying to do this recovery. I thought recovery was corny. I thought recovery was stupid. It seemed like a chore to me, right? Because it was always forced upon me by parole officers and probation officers. Go to a meeting, do this. And I'm like, yo, I just want this free housing. Like, calm down, you know? And so it's like, it's insane to me, like, how much, like, they really just drove it onto me, and I hated it, and I rebelled. And, you know, it's when I first got clean, man, my logo right here, not the 5 and the 3, but the Skyler Ray logo with the mic and the mirror effect with the microphone with the wings, man. I had this conversation, and I know you've been locked up before, right? Yeah, you've been locked up.
Yeah, short stints, but yes,
numerous times. You know, every time you win, you tell yourself, when I get out, I'm going to do different. When I get out, I'm going to get a job. When I get out, like, I'm going to see my family, right? You tell all yourselves this, but, you know, your story's probably similar. As soon as you got out, I was literally getting loaded before I made it 6 blocks to check in with my probation officer. Like, that's how much all that talk went out the window. I went to get high first, and then as soon as I got high, I never checked in with my probation officer. So I would last 3 to 5 days until that warrant went out. Whatever the probation officer is feeling, they would pick me up, and I'd go do another 6 months, 9 months.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, though, too, behind that is that, you know, if we took lie detectors at those times, we would probably pass them.
We would.
You know, that's how insidious addiction is, and that's how powerful it is. You know, I really did want to stay stopped. You know, every time I was in treatment, every time I was in jail, you know, I really was done. From the center of my heart, I was done. I was going to do better. And I talk about this all the time because it's so true. It's just, I didn't really understand what the addiction really was, about the obsession, the compulsion, you know, the denial, the spiritual void. I didn't know about the emptiness inside of me. You know, I didn't know that I had to fix that in order, like, to, you know, move forward. So I would always leave, and it didn't matter how long. I mean, there truly was times where I spent 45 days in treatment, but then the moment I left, or the moment I got in the van to go home, I was instantly dope sick. And I would start to get that, you know, pit in my stomach. And, you know, and instead of, like, you know, utilizing all the things that I learned, I would always go back to the familiar ways of what I known. And that is what I did time and time again. Yeah. And I can't stress this enough, you know, for anyone that was struggling, that it really wasn't until I applied unconditional surrender in my life. I mean, truly, like, let go, and like, didn't focus on how I felt, but on what I did. Yeah. And, you know, and just one day turns into 2, and 2 turns into 3. And I really had to put trust in others, and I really had to take the advice and the suggestions and the direction of people that I didn't even really know, but I knew that they have been in my shoes, and they have been where I have been before. And once I was able to do that, I started to see things more clear. You know, and as I started to see things more clear, I started to gain the confidence, and I just started to, you know, gain the self-respect that I was worthy of recovery. Because for so long, I just, you know, I think about all the dirt I'd done and all the bridges I burned, and I was like, I don't even deserve a good life. Man. You know, I'm a piece of garbage. But once I learned to forgive myself even just the littlest bit, I was able to cope with them racing thoughts, you know, and I was able to see past my mistakes and realize that those, you know, they weren't who I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And that's the thing, is, like, I've learned that my character defects don't have to be my shortcomings. And what that means is, because if I have 4 flat tires on the car, don't mean I have to drive on them. Right. So here's the thing. It's like, when I got out of this last time in prison, man, it really killed me. And I'm so glad I went to prison, because I was really trying to convince that the dope wasn't mine. Right. And I was really I was looking at 7 years if I would have pleaded guilty, or I could have got, which I'd probably be getting out right now. Right. I don't know where my life would be, because I got my best friend, my partner in crime, my significant other, my everything. And she's a big feel for everything, and makes me want to become better. Right. Because as an addict, I'm still like, I'm content. A lot of times I find myself content, and I have to remember that it's not just me. It's, you know, I do it for me, most importantly, but I want this life, and I got to do better. Right. And so I'm grateful for my other half, but it was like, I was really trying to convince the judge and everybody, the dope in the car that they found me in was not my dope, and that I should get out free. And I'm glad I didn't, because I would have ended up right back out there. Yeah. Right. I'm so glad I went to prison this last time, because I was having the conversation with myself about when I get out, right? I've been locked up like 20 times. And I'm telling myself this: when I get out, I'm going to do different. When I get out, I'm going to do this. And I had to check myself. I had to check myself because I would literally looked around. This is so significant in my life. And when I want to ask you what your revelation is in a second. But mine was, I remember looking around. I'm in prison by myself and I'm having this conversation. And I'm looking around and seeing that I'm only talking to myself. And this is so significant to me because I was lying to myself. I get it. Like if you're with buddies and you're having a good time, like, oh yeah, I got, you know what I'm saying? Like you're broing out and it's like, this is what you're doing. But if I'm talking to myself and I know it's a lie, why am I planning my entire future around this lie? And that lie was, when I get out, I'm going to do something different. Like I said, I didn't get clean. So I would have never thought I would have took this route, the recovery and doing shows. I'm so glad I did. And it ended up this way. Right. But when I was in there, I'm having that talk and I told myself, man, I really got to get back to my music. I'm about to be 33. About to be 33 and the 28th of this month. I was like 28 at the time, 27, 28. And I was talking to myself and I figured, when I get out, what is my best shot at music? I realized I've never done music sober, even at 11 years old. I have an older brother, so I started smoking weed early, started drinking early. And so I was like, man, what's my best shot? And I was like, you know what? I've never done music sober. So I didn't get sober to be in recovery. Look, I got clean and sober for music. But nowadays I stay clean and sober because of the life that recovery provided. I refuse to give up. Okay. And that's what this logo stands for. Music saved my life. It's the microphone with wings, right? Because music is my guardian angel. It gave me that chance and that shot to get sober, to give myself that effort, which I don't know if I ever would have, right? I never thought I'd like quit smoking weed or like quit drinking. Like, of course, I'm an alcoholic and an addict. You know, I love that stuff, right? So to compromise on it. But I told myself, when I get out, I'm going to do it sober, because here's the thing. If I get old, right? So if I get sober and get out from prison, it's going to go two different ways. One, I give it my best shot, right? I give it my best shot, but I fail. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. I'm perfectly fine with not being good enough. A lot of people are not good enough for a lot of things. That's just the way life is, right? I can live with that. That's closure. I try and I fail. But as long as I give it my best shot, I'm okay. That's closure. But what if it works out? What about that 11-year-old kid that wanted to be a rapper? What about, you know, that young boy? I owe it to that young boy who robbed himself with addiction and everything else, right? So I got out and I started doing music. But it's funny because I keep a lot of my music up because it shows the journey and it shows the progress, right? A lot of my music was not good for so long. I mean, I probably have at least 10 years just on YouTube alone of just trash, offbeat. I wouldn't say trash, but it's not good. People play it, my face turns red, I get embarrassed. Like, it's that bad. Anything farther than 3 years ago, I'm so embarrassed of, right? But it's crazy because, like, the evolution of it and giving yourself that shot, right? So I got out, and once I got clean and sober, you'll see like the subject matter of my songs changed. And I think it's because I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to put myself out there. Something clicked, right? Getting out and making that change, man. I never, like, I used to rap about like sex. Like I was, you know what I'm saying? Sex, violence, chains I didn't have, Lamborghinis, and I'm taking the bus to go see if somebody wants to throw up on a joint or a blunt, you know? Like, these are the things that I used to do. And when I got clean and sober, you know, I just wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to be myself and, you know, unapologetic, throw myself on the music and be like, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. These are my flaws. And it's crazy because once I started doing that, the real target audience came forward, because when you be yourself, people can relate. Because not everybody, even the tough guys, are always trying to be tough guys. You know, everything, all the facades and stuff that people put on to impress people, it gets exhausting. So I will say one of the best things that I enjoy about life is the complete freedom to be myself. I'm okay with being awkward. I'm okay with being scared, feeling guilty. I cry all the time. I cry when I get excited. I cry when I get nervous. It is the most freedom in the world, you know, but I would say that talk that I had with myself was the ultimate revelation. And I hope I'm saying that right. But what do you think was that turning point for you? Where I know you tried before many times and you failed, but what do you think it was that moment that you could recall that really clicked, that pushed you forward?
I want to say first too, because I like what you said too about just like even being vulnerable. I would say from the age of 15 to 23, I mean every word that came out of my mouth was a lie. I mean
Yeah.
truly, it didn't matter. I mean even if I wasn't in trouble, I would just lie. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got clean for the first time when I was 23, and they everyone was around me was just drilling honesty into my head. Like you have to be honest. You know you can't. You know, you have to try your hardest not to lie about anything. And that's like right when I first started doing music. So for me, it was just always from the gate that I just had to be as honest as possible. And it didn't matter how it made me look or how embarrassing that what I was talking about. You know, I just had to be transparent. And then by doing that, like I said before, it gave me like a certain solace and a certain comfort that like, I have no secrets in my life, absolutely none. You know, and anything anybody that has anything to say about me, it's going to be okay because I already talked about it, you know, on record.
That's the way I feel.
But yes, I mean, I've had a year clean a couple times, and I've had multiple. This right now is my third time having multiple years clean, and I think I've hit numerous spiritual bottoms over the year. They were all different. They were all for a certain chapter of my life that were necessary for me to even, you know, have that moment of clarity for that specific interval of my journey. But even this last time, you know, just even using after 4 days, you know, and I like what you said about like lying to yourself because I think that I think we all have had them moments where we wanted something to go a certain way, but in the pit of our stomach, we knew that we wanted it to go this way.
This way.
You know, even though we were saying we wanted to go this way, we really, really wanted it to go that way. And it's crazy because I can just even think of a couple of moments in my life. But, you know, but even this last time, my last run was 4 days. And it was, and I honestly, truly just hit a point this Friday night and was like, I can't do this again. You know, like I can't go down this same exact road that I've traveled, you know, thousands of times before. And, you know, after like this minor overdose that I had in my car and 9 hours later waking up and my body was so stiff and, you know, even though I used and I was caught up, I had just the littlest bit of fight in me. And I did everything necessary that I had to do. And I always, you know, early recovery for me was always like pink clouds and like, you know, and so happy and so grateful. But I really struggled this last time that I got clean. And, you know, and it was tough. It was a really tough summer of 2015. But, you know, I manned through it and I'm so grateful that I did. And, you know, but that was it. I knew that I didn't want to die. And I think that this last time was the most, you know, obvious of all the times in my life, you know, that I've used that, you know, that it was going to happen and it was on me and it was on me to put the work in and I had to make the effort and I did whatever I had to do to change.
Yeah, man, it's crazy and it's scary. I'll tell you what, your drug of choice was heroin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mine was meth, man, and I've tried heroin a few times, just because I wanted to see what everybody was so drawn to. You know, it's not. You know, I didn't really. I like to get high and tear up the town. You know, for lack of better terms. So it's like I tried it, and I remember 2 of the 3 times that I did it, I actually like overdosed. And it was so crazy that I would even try it again. Like I couldn't imagine, you know, especially like if that's your drug of choice, how scary that would be, you know, to know that like hey, I just died, but like, what's up? Who's got a bag? You know, let's take this ride again. I promise I'm gonna get off before we hit that mark. You know, and it blows my mind, like the fentanyl. They're putting fentanyl in everything, meth. Like I've read the stories, like lacing the weed, like it's in coke. It's. I tell my other half because she's not in recovery. She's an ally to us in recovery. You know, but it's crazy because I tell her all the time, I don't know if I would survive today's drug market.
Absolutely not. And even the xylazines. I don't know if it's real big on the West Coast, but even here, you know, primarily Philly and Baltimore, but even in Pittsburgh now, you know, we're even seeing them at the center. So xylazines, like that crocodile from like 10 years ago, and people are coming in with these lesions all over, permanent lesions all over their arms. I mean, their legs.
Take the crocodile skin.
Yeah, and I'm don't quote me on this, but I'm almost positive that Narcan is doesn't help. So I mean, if you overdose on that, you're pretty much out of luck. And no, the same way, like I would not last. And you know, this area alone, you know, I remember when someone would overdose and die, it was like a big thing. And I don't want to say it's not a big thing now, because it is. But I'm saying, like, it happens so much.
Yeah.
It's almost a guarantee. Like, if you use that, like, you know, before it used to be like Russian roulette, you know, but nowadays it is strictly a matter of time. Like, I mean, it could either be your first use or your 10th, but like during that relapse, your chances of survival are very, very slim. And you know, that's just what just kind of drives me crazy, you know. And it's like, and I know addiction is powerful, and I know that, you know, we have them feelings of, you know, wanting to get high, but like it's just so not worth it. And I feel like people must really, really be in a bad space if they choose to pick up again. And it's sad that so many people are dying, but it's like, you know, you can't rip the needle out of anybody's arm. You know,
you can't.
Show them by example.
Yeah, it's so scary, because I know when I was in my active addiction, no one was telling me nothing. Like, this is what I wanted for the rest of my life. I didn't want a wife. I didn't want kids. I didn't want nada. Like, I'm getting high. I was just mad the cops kept interrupting my fun. You know, but it was like, I don't understand it, because I've never been able to quit on my own. And that's one reason why I'm afraid to even use anything. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I 100%, I vape. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I'm afraid because, like, sometimes I think, man, I would love to just tear up the town this weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to go out here and just load it up. Let's go. But it's like, I can't, because for one, I've come too far. I'm not willing to throw everything else away. Like, the obvious is always go through my mind. But a big one that sticks in my head is, like, I have never, ever been able to quit on my own. Never. I only got sober because I was locked up all those times.
Yeah.
Never once did I ever, all the time I would say, hey, I want to quit. This is the last one. This is the last one. And I've never quit. There was always more. And so it blows my mind, because I was the type that always wanted the biggest rush. And I was actually more addicted to the rush than the high. So that whole process of using it, and when it hits your brain and the fumes in the back of your throat, and you get the little finger wiggles, and you're just like, you know, and all those chemicals rush through your body, that is what I was addicted to. And so I was getting higher probably than I should, you know, if that makes sense, you know, because it's like, I didn't care if I was high. Like, I wanted that rush. So I would always try to do what I could. And so, like, I just know I would not survive. You know, it's definitely scary. Prayers to everybody out there. And I agree, back in the day when someone overdosed, it would be significant, and it still is. But the fact that you can't log on to Facebook without seeing 2 to 3 RIP posts almost every single day from your personal Facebook, not even like, we're talking about our personal, like 4,000, 5,000 friends. It makes it crazy, man. Switch gears. I won't keep you long. Do you have like another 5-10 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. So look, switching gears. being a music artist, man, we all make music and we hope one day something blows up and something takes off, right? What was your initial reaction when your song Addiction took off, Drug Addiction? What was your initial reaction, like when it just started when it popped?
It was surreal, and I mean, a lot of people might not believe me, but I mean, even to this day, it's surreal. You know, I never really, I never really had a goal. I honestly didn't. I made music for 10 years because I liked making music, and
Yeah.
you know, and I liked making music. I like how it made me felt, you know, and for over them 10 years, you know, I had a small audience of, you know, I had fans here and there, but it was absolutely nothing. And you know, so whenever Drug Addiction started catching, you know, like started spreading, you know, like I said, it was just surreal. It was I couldn't believe it, you know, and like to this day, you know, I'm just great because I like so many people would tell me that they'd be able like to relate to my song, but that was just it was never my intentions. I was just telling my story. Like one day I was just one day, like, because I've always written about addiction. You know, I wrote a song called Paradise about shooting heroin in 2007. I have songs like Feel It in the Air. I mean, I have numerous songs that are about addiction, but I wanted to make one that was very detailed, and I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to tell about the criminal acts, but then I also wanted to tell about like finding recovery and like how I live today. So I wanted to tell this story of how my life was, you know, thus far, you know, from beginning to end in so many words. And it was like the perfect storm because like, you know, my daughter was born and you know, like 3 weeks before I released that song, and that was just one of them tangible evidences in my life that like that I believe that like God just like really stepped in. It's like, you know, I did music for over 10 years, and you know, like, you know, the same month that my daughter was born, you know, my music started taking off.
That's incredible.
And it opened up so many opportunities for me to not have to go to a physical place and punch a time clock for 50 hours a week. And I was able to work from my phone. I was able to work from home. I was able to spend all this more time actually raising her and being present, simply because of this one song. And from that one song, you know, I had so many people go back to 10 songs ago or 20 songs ago or 50 songs ago, and basically like, you know, look at my entire life through this catalog of music that I've had, because every song I have is a particular, within reason, like a special moment in my life.
Yes.
So I can listen to a song like Silent Screams, and I still remember like being in that Radisson parking lot and writing it, and I can still remember like what exactly was going on in my life at that time. And it's kind of crazy. It's like this audio time capsule, you know, where the audience might not exactly fully grasp, you know, what part of my life that was, but I'll always remember. But it is, I never thought that I would be in a position where I am with my music, like ever. Like in a million years, I never would have thought that I would even get even just the littlest bit of attention.
It's crazy, bro. Congratulations. I had to know as an artist just because, like, you know, I've been making music since 11. Obviously, I had my down years in my addiction and, you know, in prison, in jail. But it's like, until I met my significant other, I maybe had like 50,000 plays in like 10 years, you know, and half of those are probably me, you know. But it's like I met my other half, bro. And it was really cool because I trusted her heart. And the reason why I say that is because she's extremely talented. She's the one that sings on all my tracks. Like she background in opera, studied music, like sing multiple different languages, like, you know, studied abroad in Italy, like all this stuff around music, right? And her ear is next level. And you know, just like one day, like I was like, oh, we met. It's really cute because I had met this guy in prison, and you know, he was like, oh, let me be your manager. So we're like, okay, we'll give you a week, whatever, right? And so we, you know, and we're just kind of like, we used to walk the track, and I was like, yeah. And then so what happened was we ended up getting out this like the same week, and he's like, let me manage you, and I was like, we'll see. You know, and so he ended up, his car happened to be in the shop, and my lady's car was in the shop, right? Because she got in a wreck. So they happened to meet on this bus, which they both don't take the bus.
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess my lady Kayla always sat in this one spot, and he happened to sit in the spot, and she was kind of being hard-headed, so she sat across or whatever, just like kind of like mugging him, looking at him, right? And you know, and then he's like, oh, da-da-da, and he happened to be in a music video of mine a couple of days prior. And he's like, oh, like, you know, like, check this video out. Like, I manage a rapper. And then Kayla's like, oh, I sing. And so he passed me the number. And it's really cute because getting out, my whole goal in life was when I get out of prison, I'm going to do everything different. Because everything I did before was wrong, right? No matter how uncomfortable, no matter how any it is, I'm going to do it different. So I told myself, I'm not going to flirt with this girl. I'm not going to hook up with this girl. I'm not going to do nothing. Right. And we ended up meeting at this little cute diner on 6th and Anarchy, downtown Portland. And when she came in, I was maybe like 2 months out of prison. Right. She came in. I had notebooks on this table. I bought her dinner, and we went over all of our musical goals, all of our musical dreams. We talked about going on tour. We talked about doing music videos. We talked about doing all this stuff. Right. And so like we're doing it all nowadays. But I bring it up because when I showed her my music, she told me, it's cool, but that's not it. And she wasn't afraid to tell me that I wasn't rapping on beat.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I am. It's between the claps. And she's like, sure. But it's not like, there's a difference between like attempting to rap on beat versus like actually like flowing on the beat and writing the beat, you know? And so she helped me with all that. Like the first like album Spotlight and like another album, like she would literally cut me my little phrases and move me in the pockets and on the beat. I still couldn't hear it. I just knew it sounded right. And it makes sense because when she started doing, I'm like, oh, this is actually dope. I've never thought my music was dope before. I liked it and I love music, and I'd be doing music even if I never made another dollar. So the fact that I've been full time for the last 4 years is crazy. But the fact that she would move each phrase in beat and on pocket, and I would listen to it, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that, but it sounds right. And then we did so many shows on tour together with that album, and I started developing my ear. And then when I went back in the studio to record the next album, I'd lay something down like, oh, that don't sound right. Oh, no. And so like nowadays, like because of her, and I know because of her talent and everything like that, things really started taking off. You know, I would have never imagined it. And it's like you said, never in a million years. I guess as a kid, I always dreamed of being a rock star. I always dreamed of being famous. I always dreamed of being big and just like killing it, like on Eminem level. I grew up obsessed with Eminem, right? But I just never gave it thought about what the process would look like.
Yeah.
What is the journey? I didn't know that I'd be slaving away for 8 hours, pressing hoodies, keeping up with merch orders. I didn't know that it'd be studio here, grinding this. Like I thought a label would pay for everything. Like we pay for everything out of pocket. And it's crazy that I have the opportunity to use it to do good. You know, like the beginning of our conversation, I would have never chose this path. I never would have thought it was. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I made music that was relevant to me, that I felt like helped me. Like I said, I really don't do too many meetings. You know, the people that know me know this. Because like I said, it's so hard and it was like a punishment to me for so long. But music is my therapy, right? Music is my therapy. It's my therapist. It's my NA meeting. It's everything like that. And the fact that it actually heals me. It heals me to be able to, I write music. I cry all the time when I'm writing music. I play it back. And a lot of times I don't realize what's really happened to me in my life or what's wrong with me until I sit back and listen to the song a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because like you were so numb to the stuff we went through that we just like, we're like, oh yeah, I've been through this, homeless, needle in my arm, doing this. And then like you listen to it back all the times, you're like, damn, that's rough. You know? So it gives me a chance to heal. So the fact that this lane even opened up, it's really cool because when you like, it's like the thing when you're on probation, it's such a hassle, right? But when you're clean and sober on probation, it's really nothing to show up every once in a while and pee in a cup.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the same thing. Cause I tell her, like, we get noticed everywhere we go. Like, we know a lot of people in Portland. Right. And so like when we go out, people see us. And I remember we went on this remote hike. I didn't even know where we were. Right. Cause my nose was buried in my phone the whole time until we got there. But when we got there, we ran into multiple people hiking. And I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm really sober. Like, what if they were walking up and I was like smoking a blunt or like drinking a bottle or under the influence? Each person we ran into was in recovery. And I was like, oh my God, it's such a relief to really be able to do what you say. And another question, man, like when you're touring, when you're traveling, I see a lot of times you try to take the lady with you, and you try to take your family with you. Is that always the case, or is that like, when you can type of thing?
No, yeah, it's just when I can. I do numerous. I've always done stuff alone, unless I do shows with like my friends, like KCB and Rem and Joe and all them. I do everything alone. Travel alone, this and that. I have had the opportunity though in the last 2 years to bring my family for some of this stuff, but then other stuff. I just knew that it wouldn't really be fun for them, and it'd be like straight business, or I was only going there for 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's all circumstantial as far as, whether they should come or not.
I agree. And it's really hard. Like, there's a lot of times because like I don't travel nowhere without my lady, but she's my other half. It's like music wise as well. Right. She's like, to me, she's like the beautiful angel bringing light into my darkness world.
Yeah.
Right. And so like when we make songs together and like all of our songs we perform on tour together, it's funny how much like things change. Like, oh yeah, we'll fly you out. We'll put money in your pocket. We'll do this. We'll do that. And I'm like, well, you got to fly me and my lady both out. And they're like, well, how much are flights? I'm like, there's so much of a difference because now they got to fly 2 people out. Now they got to, that it changes things. But when you are able to take your little family with you, what are some things? Is there like something that you always, do you always go try to find good food spots? Is there like, do you try to find that coffee spot while you're in town for a few days?
Yeah. It all depends. It really all depends. Like I said, we were just in Cleveland, which isn't too far from here at all. It's only 2 hours, but I mean, we were truly just there for the night. You know what I mean? And when we went to Utah at the beginning of the summer, though, that was fun. We were there like 4 days, and we did a lot of sightseeing, and just even being in both of them cities was phenomenal. So. Once again, there was a lot of work involved because we had 2 shows, in the 3 days that we were there. But we'll do whatever, just as long as we're having fun and we're together. That's all that matters.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Me and my lady, we love traveling. As a kid who grew up in addiction, who never left Portland. The fact that I get to see the country is absolutely breathtaking and something I don't take lightly. I love seeing all the crazy stuff, like even the boring stuff, like the Mount Rushmore and stuff. Like, I have to see it, right? It's just so great. I know before we hopped on live, you talked about you love the beaches. What's your favorite like city, or like if you like your perfect environment?
Probably South Florida. I mean,
come on, baby! I tell everybody, Miami is my favorite place.
I recently went to California, like Orange County area, and I don't know. It's maybe just because I'm not used to it, but I didn't really dig it that much. But I've been to like West Palm and Delray and Jupiter and like that whole area. I've been there. I mean, honestly, probably 20 times in the last 5-6 years to do with work also. And so I just love it down there.
Yeah, Miami, bro. The white beaches, everything is beautiful. The people are beautiful. The city's beautiful. Like South Beach, right there on Ocean Drive, with the white sand. I like getting me a nice meal. I even let the little belly hang down out in a button-up shirt, a little cigar thing, and I'm Suge Knight. It is nice. I love the beach, having snacks with your significant other, laying there, falling asleep in the sand. It truly is beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I truly love it. Before I let you go, I always tell people, I feel like where a lot of people struggle, a lot of people ask me, how do you stay clean? Right? How do you stay clean and sober? It's hard. And I truly believe a lot of people go wrong because when they get clean and sober, right, they get that job. They get that job because it takes money to pay the bills, right? You get that job, you stay stagnant in that relationship, and not only that, but like the responsibilities come in, right? Like if you have kids, the responsibilities of kids, all these things and all this pressure starts getting on you. You don't even like your job. Like you're settling. It's not the job you want or the career pathway. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that routine that, they really don't like.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't like, right? And I feel like that's where they fail. I always tell people we get clean and sober to live our dreams. We get clean and sober. It's our best shot at living our dreams, right? And I tell people we've been, drinking and drugging for so long that we forget who we are as a person, right? We conform to this social idea of like, get the job, hold it down, take care of the lady, take care of the kids. Yes, but you got to remember who you are, right? Do you like to go rock climbing? Do you like to go adventuring? Do you like to play video games? Do you like to go bowling? Do you want to be a doctor? Like these are all these things that you have to go for. I truly believe, because it gives you something to live for. It gives you something to strive for. The fact that I'm able to chase my dreams and do music is everything to me. It gives me a reason to push on. It makes me want to, like I said, for the little kid in me, like you have to, what do you think is the biggest reason why people fell in addiction? And what do you think, what would be your best advice to stay clean?
The reason people fail is probably, different across the board. And, recovery to each individual, is tremendously personal for each and every one of us. And, it does look different from one person to the next, depending on their circumstances or where they're at in life. I just know for myself, and I can only speak really from my experience. And, I really did, have to change everything, and I say that's such a vague statement, but it really is true. I had to start with my people, places, and things. I couldn't hang out with people that were associated with drugs and alcohol, even if they were my friends. It's not that I can't ever see them again. It's just that at this moment in my life, I can't do that. If there's certain places and that I can't go because they're intertwined with my addiction and they may give me some type of feeling or some type of obsession, I have to stay away from them. Not forever, but at least for this early stage of my recovery. And I just, really had to be willing to put the work in, it was saying about how, feeling stagnant, the same way that I applied, the principles or whatever, as far as getting clean, I have to use that with everything, whether I'm in a toxic relationship, whether I'm in a dead end job, whether I'm, the change is only going to come from the work that I put in. And you have to understand that I'm going to have these moments of motivation, but motivation comes and goes.
It does.
Discipline is something that I can practice every single day of my life. And that self-sacrifice, and I've had so many joys enter my life simply from putting drugs and alcohol down. The reasons that I stay clean today are completely different, than why I actually stopped 8 years ago. So it's like, I used to fear, like the consequences of drugs and alcohol, but now it's more towards it's towards like, I really want to see what I can do with my life if I continue to just keep living this and keep seeking God and keep, moving forward on this spiritual path. And I get my strength from everywhere. I mean, truly from everywhere. One day it may be my daughter. The next day it may be a fan. The next day it just might be I have that self-confidence because I help somebody.
Yeah.
But regardless of what it is and where it comes from, I must not be ignorant to the fact that I must hold on to it because I'm cautious of everything I do. I mean, everything I do, every decision I make, because that's how I always failed in the past. I would always start to go down that wrong road. And even though I could probably see where I was faltering and making mistakes, I would just continue self sabotaging.
Yeah.
But today I have people that count on me. You know, I have a family that counts on me, and I have so many others that look up to me. So it is so important that I take care of myself.
It's
And I
important.
always take care of myself first,
I
so
was
I
about to
can
ask you
take
that.
care of others.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to ask you that. Someone said self-care, and you know, I think that is very important. And I was gonna ask you that because I honestly feel you have to put yourself first.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is, and I say this all the time, is I have to put myself first because if I don't, I cannot treat my significant other the way she needs to be treated,
Mhm.
how a man should treat her. I can't treat the people I love how they're supposed to be treated because if I don't put myself first and don't show myself love, how can I give a real example of love to someone else? You
Mhm.
know, and it's important because if I'm not my best version, that's not fair to offer a damper down or weakened version to my significant other or the ones I love, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you absolutely said that because I believe self-care and putting yourself first is truly vital for everything, right? Because it's like you don't want half of your girlfriend. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want the best version of her. And the reason she's able to do that, or people are able to do that, is to be able to take care of themselves first.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people miss that. So I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad dude said that in the comments because like a lot of people like they get clean for their kids and they get like it's good to have that motivation, right? Or they stay clean for their kids, but it's like you have to do it for yourself because the work that you do behind closed doors will always come to the light.
Mhm.
You know, so that is very huge, man. Um, you know, I want to say thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you. You know, I respect you for all that you have done. Like I said, like what you are doing with your music career and like what you established. Like you said, I know that you are really putting in work and like I could only imagine because I get so many messages a day about my music saved their life, it changed them, things like that. Like they listen to me, like I motivate them. I get so many messages every day. But I could only imagine your inbox because here's the thing. Since the song dropped, I've had about 10, 15 people message me about how you've saved their life.
Awesome.
Not even like never even heard of me, just like, oh, Colicchie saved my life. Like he's doing this, he's doing that. So that's just people sharing with someone else what you mean to them. So, you know, like I said, kudos for music, how you've been able to expand it and grow to a phenomenal astronomical level. But I want to just say, most importantly, I salute you as a man. You know, I'm really glad I got you on the track, not just because you have a good fan base, like that's cool. Obviously, that's always nice. But to be honest, like I said from the get-go, bro, is what you do for the community is beautiful. And I think it's really awesome that you're so selfless, that you give back to the community and you help it. And I know it may not feel like it sometimes, besides if you're looking at your schedule and how tired, exhausted you are, but you do that by naturally being you. And I'm able to do that looking removed from the situation because I get told that all the time. And I'm personally like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just being me.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being that man and just keep thriving, man. Always be genuine to yourself. I'm rooting for you, your recovery, and your family. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a blessing. And if you guys do not know, make sure you go check out Drowning right now. Myself and Colicchie, you are an awesome man. I am privileged to have you on that track. I salute you, baby. Let's go.
I mean, thank you very much.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. So I am back, ladies and gentlemen. It tried to kick me off the internet, but we are here, baby. Let's go. I appreciate everybody. You guys are amazing. Shout out to my guest, Colicchie. I'm going to drop the link to the comments soon as I drop off. Y'all are beautiful. Let's go and get it. Let's go.